Brethren lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. We're going to be diving into the latest around Arsenal. We knew this time was always going to come where Declan Rice had to decide between Arsenal and Manchester City. The final decision and final preference of the player has been communicated to Manchester City. His preference is to go to Arsenal. He wants to stay in London. West Ham are now encouraging Arsenal to go in with a third bid in order to end this saga as quickly as they can. According to TalkSport, we could see Arsenal go in with a third bid, which is likely to be accepted rather than not. Hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well. Let's get this video to 500 likes. In the comment box below, he has chosen Arsenal. Now, it does not mean that Arsenal are 100% going to take him, but it means that we are 90% in the leading race. We are not away from the leading race. We are not away from the driving seat. We are actually leading the race for Declan Rice as per sources talking to TalkSport. Now, this is the story as it was broken by TalkSport, and they're saying that Manchester City have held talks with West Ham but are yet to make a formal offer after being told that Rice prefers a move to North London. TalkSport sources understand. That is what the breaking story was from TalkSport, and this is what has been actually revealed by TalkSport as well in their recent article. They have said West Ham are encouraging Arsenal to make a third bid for Declan Rice to bring a speedy end to the saga. TalkSport understand. Manchester City have held talks with Hammers but are yet to make a formal bid after being told Declan Rice prefers a move to North London rather than Manchester. They're also saying that Arsenal have had two bids rejected, with the East London outfit holding out a guaranteed 100 million and the bulk of the money paid up front. The last offer from Mikel Arteta's side was turned down on Tuesday, which saw Arsenal bid 75 plus 15 million in add-ons. That is as revealed by the boys at TalkSport. They've just confirmed that Manchester City's bid is being held because the players had already told them his preference is not Manchester City, his preference is not Manchester, his preference is London, and he would love to go to Arsenal rather than the champions Manchester City. Right, so there's so many things here that we are going to talk about, with so many things we're going to digest in this episode. Number one, West Ham are encouraging Arsenal to bid for the third time. They're not encouraging Manchester City, who are the big spenders, who have infinite resources, who have indefinite resources. They're actually, encouraging Arsenal to bid. That is absolutely marvelous. We are also talking, right? Manchester City now have to wait until Arsenal either agree or fail to agree a deal with West Ham. But we are also talking Arsenal sending communications to West Ham that the next bid that is incoming is going to be our final bid. We are also going to be talking about West Ham's game, which looks to be over, in my opinion. Now, let's get into it. We were told on Friday that two bids were going to be placed onto the table for West Ham. And on that day, as reported by Sky Sports, and I personally made that video, and I said I think Manchester City were going to win the race, because if Arsenal were going to go toe-to-toe with Manchester City, they were always going to beat us in terms of guaranteed payments, in terms of what they were willing to offer for the player, and also in terms of the lucrative and attractive nature of the club. Someone asked me a question that what makes me think Manchester City will win the titles if Declan Rice joins them. Manchester City will win the Premier League titles. They're still favourites to win the next 5 Premier League titles with or without Declan Rice. They're still favourites to win the next 5, maybe 3 of the next 5 Champions League titles with or without Declan Rice. So if you think that Declan Rice does not make City stronger, you're absolutely mistaken. He's a player that makes and improves any team that he joins this summer much better. Makes them much better than they are at the moment. But City approached West Ham on Friday, asked them about the terms and conditions of the deal. They discussed each and everything. So City are well informed of the terms and conditions of this deal. However, during those talks, they were informed, Manchester City were informed that the decision of the player, the final decision, is that he wants to go to Arsenal. He wants to stay in London. He wants to go to North London rather than moving to Manchester. So Manchester City, that is the reason as to why they have not sent in their bid. They don't feel like they would love to bid for a player who has not given them the green light. He's given Arsenal the green light to bid for him. He's not given Manchester City the green light to bid, and he's not given them the authority to feel a little bit, on that upside in negotiations. Trying to sign a player who doesn't want you, it's also, look, it's also awkward. I mean, we've tried to do these deals with the likes of Dusan Vlahovic, players that are not picking up our calls, agents that are not actually willing to speak to Arsenal. It is very, very frustrating. So what Manchester City have done here is go very, very gentleman and have gone, he wants to go to Arsenal. Let's wait for Arsenal to pull out, to naturally pull out of the race. If Arsenal pull out of the race, if Arsenal fail to agree a deal with West Ham, then we will come in as a second option. But at the moment, we understand we are not the priority of the player, and we are not at the head of the food chain. So we are not expecting a Manchester City bid before the last Arsenal bid. But this could also be coming out because Arsenal, according to Romano, Arsenal literally told West Ham the incoming bid is the final one. It is the last one. You either take it or you leave it. So, and West Ham are in quite a very, very difficult, situation because their game is over. Like I said, the game is over for me. If you have Manchester City and Arsenal fighting for the signature of Declan Rice, none of them has stepped 100 million, and the player's preference is Arsenal, and you've already turned down 90 million from Arsenal. I think their game is over. I think it's absolutely over. City don't want to sign a player that doesn't want them or would love to be at another project, and Arsenal have already made their statement. They have already bid up to 90 million for the player. So again, it makes much more sense right now for West Ham to encourage Arsenal to come and bid because they know they can press us. We have the utmost interest in the player, and we are also willing to spend huge amounts of money on him. So they know they can press us until maybe we pay around 95, 97 million in total. I doubt now Arsenal will go with 100 million. And this is why West Ham are screwed. This is why West Ham are absolutely, it's a done. Because if Arsenal now go in with a 97 bid, West Ham will be very skeptical about rejecting that bid, right? Because one, if you reject Arsenal's 97 million bid or 95 million bid, you're not sure if Manchester City are going to bid up to 97 million. Arsenal have already told you they will walk away, okay? So Arsenal bid 97, you reject it, Arsenal walk away. Manchester City come in as the only contender for the player. They're not stupid. They're not going to give you 97 while the competition has walked away. They will go back into the same sagas, 80, 90, 91, and things like that. So still, this helps Arsenal. The fact that West Ham are calling us to go in with that bid, in order to go in with that bid, we've already told them that the bid is incoming. But the reason that's why they're trying to pressurize Arsenal and speed up the process is that they're trying to compare the verbal offer Manchester City are talking and the last offer Arsenal are willing to make. If Arsenal's offer is anywhere near Manchester City's in terms of attractiveness and the payment structure and everything, I reckon they will agree to sell to Arsenal. And I think they also want to look as a loyal side. This is their captain. We're talking about a player who has won them the European trophy, European silverware, like in 70 years. Is it 70 years? Is it 60 years? So that's the player we're talking about. That's the captain we are talking about. If he's told them that I would rather stay in London, I think I don't know the moral fiber of the people doing this deal on the end of West Ham, but I would think that they would prefer to leave and part ways with Declan Rice on very, very good terms. Why? Because in my opinion, 10 years to come, 11 years to come, Declan Rice will be 30, 31, and he will come back to West Ham and end his career there. That is a guarantee. Like, he will have to get that standing ovation of Mark Noble, and he might even get a statue outside their stadium. So I think they will not want to sell him to a player to a club that he doesn't want to go. They'll try to negotiate a deal with Arsenal until they either agree or disagree. Now, this is my prediction. Arsenal's third bid is not going to be massively above what we bid in the second time. I think we might add around 5 million or around 10 million maybe. I don't think that bid is going to be rejected. I think West Ham will stall a little bit, and they will do their own their own part of homework and work in terms of pushing Declan Rice towards City. They'll tell him all these good things about Manchester City, but now that he's given them his preference, it is more likely than not that they will accept Arsenal's Arsenal's third bid. It's going to be very funny that it's not going to be very different from what we offered in the second place. It's not going to be very, very different, right? What Arsenal have done here is we have threatened to go in with another bid and walk away from the situation. That is something we should have done. And no one at West Ham actually wants to agree with this. No one at West Ham wants to give Arsenal the credit of being bold. I think they thought we will keep on bidding and bidding and bidding and bidding until, we go up to 100 million. But Arsenal have been very strong. First bid rejected, second bid rejected, third bid, this is the last one. Otherwise, we are actually going to walk away. So, does this mean Arsenal have won the race to sign Declan Rice? Definitely not. Absolutely not. Because, look, a lot can change in the last few seconds, minutes of a transfer deal, even days. And I think we still have a couple of days for us to, live with this deal. We have a couple of days for us to see it evolve, drag on and drag on and drag on. So the first thing now West Ham have to do is to negotiate with Arsenal on another, on another basis, on another time. If Arsenal fail to agree a deal with West Ham, now West Ham will have to sit down with Rice and tell him, you know what, this is how much we wanted, and we think you're worth this. Arsenal are not willing to pay that. What is your second option if Arsenal move doesn't happen? Because I doubt Rice had only Arsenal on his wish list. I think he had Chelsea, I think he had Man United, and I think he has Manchester City as well. So Rice would then go, how about Manchester City? How much are they offering? And how good are they? And then they will consider, Arsenal. They will consider Manchester City probably. But the scare for West Ham here is that Manchester City might walk away. Manchester City might go elsewhere. If Arsenal go in with a bid that Manchester City feel should be accepted, whether West Ham have accepted or not, Manchester City will definitely walk away, because there's no reason to stay there if you're going to bid the same bid at almost very, very similar terms. There's no reason to stay there. You go away and you let Arsenal get their man. So for me, Rice, interesting turn of things. His decision has been very crucial, like Romano said, that the player's decision is going to be very, very crucial. And his decision has been very crucial. His preference has been very, very crucial to where he is going to go. The other interesting aspect of this deal is the terms rather than the amount now. Fabrizio Romano has always been reporting how much West Ham wanted. 100 million, at least 100 million. Today, in his recent report, he says structure very, very key for West Ham. He does not say that West Ham want this amount of money or this amount of money up front, and that shows you that Arsenal have hit the mark of where West Ham feel in that zone we can sell. Arsenal have already reached that zone. It's about the structure. Okay, so Arsenal's bid is literally improving the structure. I'm not really sure we should go like 2 years pay all that money in 2 years in installments. It might come to bite us back in the back. But I'm trying to what I think Arsenal should do in this particular situation is tell West Ham in all with all honesty, this is how much we can pay you up front, and this is how much we can pay you in installments. And if West Ham are willing to listen and agree, they agree. If they are not willing to listen and agree, I don't think Chelsea are going to pay 100 million to West Ham in 2 years. I don't think Manchester United will do that either with the number of players they want to sign this summer. So it still goes back to who is going to pay all that money in 2 years. And I think this is where Arsenal have got it right. They've looked around and they're like, no one is actually going to pay this money. Because if you sell to a club like Bayern or Juve, you might get your 100 million in 20 years. Those guys are very good at spreading, payments. Okay, so it is clubs in the Premier League that can definitely afford Declan Rice on the terms and conditions that have been set by West Ham, and he has just told them, negotiate with Arsenal. That is where I want to go. So breaking sorry, nothing to add. I'll see you right in the next one.